Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, again, we are going to make a simple Vue.js and ReactJS app which is styled using Tailwind CSS. So today we are going to see how to create a password generator using Vue and React. So this is the sample of the app that we are going to build. So it has a range selector from which we can select the number of characters that the password must have. Then you can also select which all symbols or characters will be there in the password. So I can select uppercase, lowercase, numbers and symbols. And then I have a generate button. When I click on that, it generates a random password and it shows the strength of the password at the bottom. So now you have two options. You can either click on copy, which will copy that password to the clipboard, and then you can paste it somewhere. So if I open it, you can see this is the password that is generated. But if you want to show the password, or you can just click on this button and that will show the current password. And then you can click on this button to keep on generating new passwords, and I can add additional symbols, and you can see how my strength keeps on increasing, right? So at, let's say, the size of 12, I get extremely strong password. So this is the basic app that we are going to build. So again, we are going to split this video into two parts. The first part, we are going to design the UI using Tailwind, and in the second part, we are going to build the app using first Vue and then followed by React. So let us begin. So let me open a folder in my project folder, and I will start by creating a index.html file, and I will add some boilerplate code, and I will give it a title. So password generator. Okay, so that is going to be my app name or app title. Now here I already have a code snippet that I use to include Tailwind. So I will just add Tailwind CSS CDN to my page, and now I have Tailwind on my page. So let me just add an h1 tag and test it out. So let's just put hello, and I already have live server installed, so I can just right click and open with live server, and this will open my app. Okay, so let me just minimize this, and let me minimize this. Okay, so that's it. Now let me refresh, and you can see the Tailwind CSS is now applied, and you can see the style of h1 is gone. So that means Tailwind is active. So let's start working on the app. Okay, so I will first keep the app open. So this is how the app is going to look. So let's start by designing the laying out the elements that we will be requiring. Okay, so let's start with the main container, which is going to house the entire app, and inside that we will have a div, and inside that we will have an h1 which is going to say strong password generator, right? So we will take that, and inside the password we are going to have a span tag which is going to house the password, so that we can change the color of it later. That is my first thing. Next, I will come down, and this is the form area, which is actually going to house all the elements of the form. So let's create that. Now it consists of few things. Okay, first let us have a form. um, let's create a form, and in fact we don't need a form, we will skip the form, we will directly put the input elements. Okay, so first we will have another div which is going to house a label. Label will be called as length, right? And this will be for length. Then I will be having an input type. Instead of text I will select range. Okay, and the name that I'm going to give is going to be length, and the ID is going to be also length. Okay, and I will have a min and a max value. So min of, let's say, at least I want 6 characters in the password, and max, let's say 20 characters. Okay, so that is going to be my min and max. Another I will add a span tag. Now this span tag will be housing the size of the uh, currently selected label, oh, sorry, length. So that is going to be my first uh, part of the form. Next I'm going to have another div in which I'm going to have um, 4 different divs. Okay, so let's add a div, and inside this I'm going to have a label for uppercase. So first I'm going to have a label for uppercase, right? And that will be my first thing. So I would like to have the checkbox before the label. Okay, so I will keep it like this. Then I will duplicate this few number of times, and I will replace this by first lowercase, then I will have numbers, and finally I will have symbols. Okay, quickly I will just rename this numbers and symbols. Perfect. So that is done. Now I want a button. Okay, so for the button I will come outside. So let me just close this Explorer, and here I will add a button which will have the generate text, and I think that is it. So this is going to be my form. Perfect. So next I want to display the results. Okay, so for the results I will have another div. Now this div will have 2 other divs. The first div will be the actual the label. Okay, so uh, the actual password will be shown over here. So let me just put some, let's have an h1 tag. Okay, so that is my password, and after that, so that is going to be my first thing. Second, I'm going to have another div. I'm going to have another div which is going to house um, the status. Okay, so for that I will have one div and a few span tags. So this span tags will be housing the what do you say, the strength of the password. Okay, so I will have 6 of those, one more, And then after that I will have another div which is actually going to store the text of it. Okay, so let's put it in h3 and let's copy this. So this text will be over here. Okay, and once this is done, so this is my entire container, and outside of that container I will have another div which is going to house those two buttons. Okay, so let's take two buttons, and one of them will be copy and the other will be show. Okay, show or hide, whatever. Okay, so that's it. So this is going to be my final form. Okay, so let's see how does it look. So right now it doesn't look anything similar to what we have. So let's start building it. Okay, so first and foremost we will have the background color. So let's give it a class bg blue 100. Okay, so we have a blue background for our image. Let's make it flex, then justify. Okay, now before we go ahead, I forgot one step, that is we don't have the type hinting, so let's enable that. So let's look at the Tailwind CSS extension that we have installed. Inside this extension we have, as per the documentation, we have to create this config file. Only then the extension kicks in, right? So let's create that file, and here we will just add this code and just change this, remove the source folder and save it. That's it. And now you can see the colors are appearing. Okay, perfect. So now we can start typing the styles. So justify center. Yeah, now the hints are coming. So now I can say item center and height of screen. Okay, or we can say max height of screen. Okay, sorry, not max, min height of screen. Okay, so that's it. So now you can see I have my content over here centered. So let's close the Explorer and start styling the text. Okay, now for the text uh, we can have a class for the div also, and let's make it flex and justify center so that it is always in the center. And let's give style to our app header. Okay, so here we can say text 3XL, so that will increase the I think 4XL is good. 4XL, yes. And I want margin on both sides of 3. Perfect. And I want font bold, and I want and also, yeah, I think that is enough. Now I want the span tag to be text indigo 500. Okay, so let's try pink. Yeah, this is looking better. So I have a strong password, and I also want to change the color of this. So text blue, let's select 800. Okay, so this is going to be my color. Perfect. Now we will add a margin y of, let's say, 5 to give it a little separation. Then we can, so that is going to be our header. Now let's work on the body. So for the body, So the body is consisting of two parts. One, the first part is the form, that is this part, and the second part is uh, the result. So result, I have minimized it for the time being. I will be working on the form first. Okay, so let's work on the form. And for the form, there are three divs. Okay, so let's work on that first. So yeah, so let's give it a class and bg of, let's say, blue and 300. Okay, so that is going to be my bg. Okay, now yeah, so let me just find out. Yeah, so now next we so you can see that it is not extending the full width of the container. That is because the outer div, that is this div, it is not extending full width. So let's add a class of width of full. Okay, so now it extends the full width. Perfect. So now we have a background. Now we want a padding all around, so let's add a padding of 3 so that it goes inside a little, and then we can start working on the other things. But before that, let's increase the overall font of everything. Let's make it Excel so that it becomes a little bigger, and then we can start styling it. Okay, so let's style the um, text first. Okay, so let's style the length of the this thing first. Okay, so for that I will say width of full. That is the first thing. Second, for the input element, let's, so that is the range, we will say uh, width of full. Okay, and here first I will make this a flex so that it comes side by side. Then I will say justify center, and also items center, so that everything is aligned properly. And also I will add a gap of, let's say, 3, so that there is enough space between them. And I think that is it. So this is going to be my final. So just to add a little margin on the y-axis, I will add a margin of top and bottom of 4. Perfect. So now that is done. Now let's move ahead and look at the other things. So the next part is going to be my checkboxes. Okay, so let's add class to that. Immediately, my first thing that I will do is make it a flex. Now once I get the uh, the flex set, then I can do I can do, I think I can add a class and I can say width of 1/2. So it will take at least half the width. So I will take that and paste it on all the divs. Perfect. So now yeah, so now it is all taking half the widths, and now I will do something called as flex wrap, so that if at all there is anything, then it can wrap the contents. Okay, so now you can see it will wrap two per in one row there will be 2 checkboxes. Okay, and now once that is done, we can add a gap of uh, Oh, sorry. If I add a gap, then that will create an issue. Instead, I should add margin Y of, let's say, 2. Okay, so margin Y of 2 will be better. So that way I will have enough. Let's take 3. Yeah, so margin Y of 3 will work. So I will add that to all of my divs. Perfect. So now that gives me a little breathing room. Okay, so now I think 3 is a little too much. Let me just make it 2. Yeah, so 2 is, in fact, 1 is perfect. Okay, so a margin Y of 1 is perfect. Then let's work on the button. Now for the button, I will do class, let's do text center. So that will bring the button to the center, and I want a little margin of 3 from top and bottom. And now let's style the generate button. Okay, so class, first of all, I want bg blue, let's say 600. That gives me a blue button. Let me just verify the button color. Okay, it is not that dark, so let's stick to 500. Yeah, 500 is better. Let's add a little padding all around. So padding of 3 will give me that button. I think I should have to separate it out. Padding of 4 and padding Y of 2. Yeah, this is the button. Then rounded XL, or I think LG will be better. Yeah, rounded LG, and text white. Is it text white? Yes, text white, and it is also bold. Perfect. Okay, so that is going to be my generate button. Okay, now just to have a little hover effect, I will add hover and bg blue 600. Okay, yeah, so that is better. So that is my form for my password generator. Okay, so now let's move on to the result part. So let's go to the result part, and the result part is going to be very simple. Let's create a class, and it is going to be flex, obviously, and it is going to be flex column. Okay, so flex column. Then let's and I want everything to be center aligned. Perfect. Then I want a background to this, right? So let's give it a background. Let's give a background over here. Let's give a background of bg blue of 400. Let's see how it looks. Bg blue 400. Okay, so that is going to be my. Now let me go back to the design. So I want this entire thing in one container, so I will have to change this a little. So let me just rework on this. So I will take this out, and I will put another div and put everything inside it, and take this class and put it over here. Okay, so in that way I will have the class over here. And now what I can do with this is I can say width of So that will take up the entire space. Good. So that is done. Now let's look at what else is there. So I need uh, a box. So this box is my box which is going to have that. So let's make it also, or we can just say text center, and let's go to the form. Yeah, text center, and we want a border to this, right? And we want a margin all around of, let's suppose, 3. Okay, so that will give me that, and I want rounded. So that is done, and I also don't want such a white color border, so let's change that border gray, or in fact let's go for blue 50. Okay, border blue 50, that is too light, I think. Let's go for 200. 300, yeah, 300 is looking better. Now let's style the actual password. Okay, so for the password we will say text 3xl. So that is going to be my password. Text blue, let's see, what should I select? Okay, so 400 is the current color of the background, so I can select something a little lighter, let's say 200. So that way somebody eavesdropping will not be able to see the password directly. So this is a good color. I think let's go a little darker. Yeah, this is fine, 200. So that is going to be our text. Now we will want to have a padding, so let's add a padding all around. Okay, so that is done. So now I have appropriate padding, and I think that is it. We can increase the font a little bit more. Let's make it 6L. Yeah, so this looks better. Okay, so once that is done, that will be our password. Now we have to style the badges that we want to show, right? So for that we will need flex, and first let us style the boxes, individual boxes. Okay, so let's give it a height and a width, and width of 6, and we also like to give a color bg. Let's start with red, let's say 700. So that is perfect, and we will do rounded full. Okay, so that I get a round span tag. Okay, now here once I get this, now I can do flex, sorry, justify center, so that way everything comes to the center. And now I can just duplicate this and create 6 more of this. Okay, and now once I have 6 more of this, I can just add a gap so that there is a little separation between them, and then only thing left is to give them appropriate colors. Okay, so let's give red, let's give it a lighter color of, let's say, 500. Then yellow of 700, I think 500, and yellow 300, and finally green 500. Okay, I hope this is okay. Yeah, so this is going to be our um, box. So now let's do the second last part, that is going to be my text. Let's just center the text and let's add margin top of 3. 2 is fine, and I want it to be italic, and I also want it to be text small. Perfect. Okay, so this is going to be our status text, but now I also want margin bottom. So instead of margin T, I will say margin Y, so that I have equal space between them. Now once I have that, now the only thing left is to style the copy and show buttons. Okay, so let's do that. So let's add a class, let's make it flex, and then I can say justify between, so that we should take it away. Let me just find out why it is not going. uh, okay, so I think I have not given the width. Okay, so now it's working. So there was no width, that's why it was not aligning properly. So now there is full width, and now the copy button and the show button are on the extreme ends. Okay, perfect. Now let's style the buttons. So that is the last part. So for the button style, we can say we have a bg of gray 600, I think 500. Yeah, so 500. Then I need a padding of around 3, padding y of 2, and padding x of 4. Okay, perfect. Then I need a rounded XL, but only on the bottom. Okay, perfect. So that is going to be my let's increase the padding a little bit more. Yeah, and this to 5. Perfect. So this is going to be my button. Only thing left is to change the color. Let's make it text gray. Let's make it 200. Perfect. So that is going to be my text. Let's add font also. Font bold. Perfect. Now I also want a icon, the copy icon and the show and hide icon. So we will do that. But before that, let's copy this entire style and paste it over here also, so that both the buttons have the same style. Okay, now the only thing left is the icons. Okay, so let's go to hero icons and let's search for copy. Okay, I think this is perfect for copy, so let's take that. And for show, let me search if we have anything. Is there? Yeah, so we have an eye, so we will use that. Okay, so let's see how does it look. Perfect. Now only thing left is we will add a little classes to this so that the icons are arranged properly. So we will add flex, and let's do justify center and items center. Okay, perfect. And the same thing goes for the other button also. Perfect. And we also want a little gap between the buttons, so let's add that gap of 2. Perfect. I think gap of 1 is fine. Yeah, and gap of 1. Perfect. So that gives me our button. So that's it for the UI design. Everything is working. Now let's look at whether it is responsive or not, or do we need to change something. Okay, so if I increase, you can see uh, it keeps on getting bigger and bigger. We don't want that, so let's handle that now. So let's go to our div which has a width of full. Now here we will have a max width of, let's say, 2xl. Okay, so we will have a max width of 2xl so that it doesn't go above that. Okay, and now when, okay, so I think that is it. And if we want, we can have rounded corners if required, but I think this is looking good. And I think that is it for the UI design. Now in the next video we will uh, make this app working using React and Vue. So till then, have a nice day. Thank you everyone.